I don't really know how to open this, so I'm just gonna go straight into it. The way ADHD is framed on social media and just in general really just pisses me off. Um, like you see a lot of people online on social media and they like really just victimize themselves and pity themselves because of ADHD and because they have ADHD or because they probably self diagnosed themselves with ADHD. And that annoys me because, I get it as well though, because I've been there before. For a bit of context, I suppose, I grew up in the west of Ireland, pretty rural spot, in a small town, was diagnosed with ADHD at like 5 years old. Um, the usual, restless in class, starting fights, doing stupid shit. And yeah, got diagnosed. My mum didn't medicate me because obviously she thought the medication could be harmful to me as I was growing up, which was fair enough. So for pretty much most of my life, I was raw dogging it. Um, Went through all my teenage years and most of my adult life so far without any form of help at all. Because in the west of Ireland at the time and even now, it's not really considered a real thing. It's not really considered something to take seriously. Like if I told someone I have ADHD, they would probably just be like, okay, cool. Do you know what I mean? So growing up with that, obviously things like studying, school was pretty difficult for me. Um, because one, the primary reason was just self pity, the woe is me type of mentality of, I can't study because I've ADHD. Oh, I can't do this because I've ADHD. Oh, I can't do this because I've ADHD. And just really fell into that trap of I'm cooked because I've ADHD, basically. Over my teenage years, the usual thing of having loads of different interests, having a new thing every other week. Like I did swimming, kickboxing, football, Gaelic football, hurling, all these different sports. Because I really enjoyed them, but also because a new interest would pick up every week. Same thing with anything else, the usual ADHD thing of it's a new interest every other week. Maybe you guys have had a different experience. That's just me personally. Um, but when it came to school and different things like that, for a lot of my teenage years, I didn't try. And it was the usual thing of, the school report card saying, if he applied himself, he'd be great. If he applied himself, a lot of potential, but if he applied himself, doesn't apply himself, the usual. Um, that was my pretty much my teenage life. And then I got to about 17 years old, still in that mentality. And I don't know how you guys around the world do your school, but in Ireland, anyways, there's a thing called Leaving Cert. It's kind of like if you're in the UK, I suppose it's like your A levels, or if you're in the US, it's I don't know how to compare it to be honest with you, but basically it's the Leaving Cert is like your final year where you do a bunch of exams, and the exams that you do from the results, that's what determines what courses you can do for college, what colleges you can get into, and it's like in a point system. So fifth year, the year before that, I was still in that mentality of I can't really study um, because I have ADHD. I can't pay attention in class because I have ADHD. And I don't know what the eureka moment was, or I don't know what the point was where I had just said fuck it. But I think it was when I started kickboxing. Like martial arts was maybe the turning point for me. That phase of my life was the turning point for me, I would say. But I really just said, like no one is going to save me. No one is going to if I fuck up in my final year exams for getting into college, no one's gonna say, "Hey, Callum, it's all right, man. You've ADHD." Like because well, the people I know and who I was friends with were going off to college. I would just be there like, oh, I couldn't go because I have ADHD, and they'll say, yeah, cool, man, that's, whatever, and they'd go off and they'd live their life, they'd do the things they want to do, and what was I going to do? Just be like, I couldn't do it because I have ADHD. Do you know? That's no, that's not going to work. That wasn't going to work for me. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I can. Do whatever I like. Understand that my brain does not operate the same way that everyone else's does, and I'm going to figure out a way where I can work with it, not against it. So in class, I started taking notes, more active learning while the teacher was speaking, because the teacher speaking and putting stuff up on the whiteboard didn't really work for me. I'd put the extra time in after class to go through it myself and understand it myself rather than just doing homework and fucking leaving it at that. And I just got into a routine of like, keeping active, and meditation was a big thing as well. Um, Keeping active and doing that, and that really helped. So then, come my final year exams, I did well. Well, the COVID happened, so that was a whole thing. But I got the points I needed to get into college, and that was a big win for me. So I got into college and went through college, and I, from 18 years old, I listened to this book on Audible called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that changed my whole perspective on money and jobs and stuff. And I think the thing that I've struggled with, even through college, even up until now, up until recently, over throughout college, I was doing different side hustles. I was really in that internet money type of thing of like drop shipping. I was selling vapes in college. I was doing music production, making beats, and I was also like cleaning shoes as well. So I had like four different things going on top of college, and then also, um, just even just general day to day. And that was going well up until about final year of college, and then just slipped. I just slipped, fell into a slump, just slipped, fell back into that woe is me mentality of, I have ADHD. Just slipped. Fell into some bad habits, because, it was college. You can probably imagine partying a lot, drinking, other things as well. Really fell into that bad place. And that just completely threw me off track. Like, all the progress that I made over the years, just gone, gone. Like, I was in the gym, I was at a good weight, I was at a good healthy weight, looking good. Didn't go gym for a year, barely ate because I was broke. Working 2 days a week in a bar while also trying to put myself through college. Barely getting by, and then got back to home after college, and I was like, I'm cooked, bro. Um, and that was like a bad moment for me in my life. And it's crazy to think that was only 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But I said, you know what, I finally need help with this. So I went through the whole process of getting medication, getting, re-diagnosed and getting medication for it. And that's helped up until this point. But I think the main thing that I see online, and I think the main thing that I see is that people view ADHD as a weakness or a condition or an issue or something that they should feel sorry for themselves over, and they don't realize that it's literally probably like a superpower. Do you know? Um, and it is a superpower in a lot of ways. And I think the trap that a lot of people fall into is they judge themselves and they judge their brain based off how normal brains work. The fact that people can commit to something long term and just stay dedicated to that and not have these slumps or these, I suppose, times where they just lose interest and then they fall off it. Like that's been the pattern for me for a lot of my life, is that I'll start something, whether it's a business, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's something, and I'll become hyper focused on it for 3 or 4 months, and then after the fourth month I'll just slump. And it's so weird because it's always like the third or the fourth month where I just slump. I burn out and I just lose interest and I don't want to do it anymore. With every business I've started, even up until now. And I think the big thing is just identifying that pattern. So, like, even in the last 2 years, last year I got into sales, working with a telecommunications company. Worked in the shop for about 7 months, but then I switched into door to door. My first 3 months in door to door, I was banging. I was booming. I made like 120 sales in 3 months. Month four, slump, done. I was like, you know what? Maybe door to door isn't for me. I'm going to go into high ticket sales. This year, February, went into high ticket sales. April, in my second month as a dialer and a triage, I collected 50K in cash collected. This month, May, slump, slump, no interest in it, nothing at all. And this pattern that I've noticed, I beat myself up about it a lot because I'm like, man, like, why can't I just stay committed to something? Why can't I just, commit to something long term and, not just fall out of interest with it or fall out of love with it? Or like literally it becomes a thing of like showing up to work feels like the hardest thing in the day. And I realized that like I've been trying to force my brain or force myself to be something that I'm not. Whereas other people can just commit to something long term, can focus in on something, I can't. My brain is not built for that. And there's a reason that you see a lot of people with ADHD become super successful CEOs, entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals, is because they've understood how their brain works and they've understood that by forcing it or trying to mold it into something that it's not, you're doing yourself more harm than good. So by you beating yourself up about like not being able to commit to something long term or the way your brain works or yeah, like just beating yourself up, you're doing yourself more harm than good. You need to understand how your brain works, understand its advantages, and use that. And like so, since then, even this month, what I've started like applying, and this could be another thing of like in 4 months' time, I just slump again, but who knows? Right now, the momentum is high. Right now, I'm cooking, so Um, but it's just it like the times where I'm most productive, the times where I've been most productive in my life, is where I've had multiple things going at once that I was interested in, so that when my interest for one thing dropped, it picked up in another thing, and that could be anything. So, for example, at the moment, I'm doing high ticket sales, but I'm also making a digital product Etsy store, and then I'm also trying to integrate like AI into everything that I'm doing to automate workflows. And I think like you just gotta do things that you're interested in. You gotta just hack your brain. You gotta just, if you're gonna do something as well, make it cool. I think that's the big thing for me as well, is that like making it cool, making it like a cool thing to do was like the game changer for me. Like making an Etsy store is pretty fucking mundane. It's pretty boring. But I made it cool by using AI as well. I've got a whole dashboard, I've got a whole thing going on like an agent, and I'm doing the same thing, and it's a bit more efficient, but I'm making it cool. It's a weird thing, but by doing this, I'm like working with my brain, working with how I work as a person, and not against it. And by doing that, it's really improved my life overall. So by not trying to force myself to be like a typical person, I've accepted that I'm not a typical person and that I need to work with myself, not against myself. And that's been the big thing. And it just really like pisses me off when like I go online or I go on like Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or something and I see people with ADHD online and they just like try to make it out like it's some, you know, debilitating thing. Like at times, of course, it is, but like you can't just dwell in that. Like I seen a guy on Instagram and he was talking about like people talk about ADHD and people say, oh, I probably have ADHD because some girl is like super energetic and stuff like that, but like today I forgot to eat because I was too lazy, or I didn't want to eat because I was too interested in something else, that I'm neglecting my basic human needs. And I'm like, man, like, shut up, man. Like, like, dwelling in that, and just like, like, and that's the thing as well with ADHD, is like, don't expect people to understand it. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to understand it. You can try and talk to people about it. You can try to explain it to people. They're not going to get it. And that's just something you have to accept. Like, maybe talk to someone professionally or something like that. But like general day to day, they're not going to understand why you do the things you do. They're not going to understand why you're doing the things you do, or why you don't do these things. They're not going to get it. And the more that you try to fight against that, and the more you try to explain and get people to understand, you're just gonna wear yourself out, man. You just gotta like accept that no one is gonna understand it. No one's gonna save you. No one's gonna give you a pat on the back and a fucking lollipop to say, "Oh, you poor thing." No. If you're a dude watching this as well, especially and that's the thing. I think there's two types of people with ADHD. There's the people who fucking wallow in the self pity, don't do anything with their life, and say, "Hey, it's because of ADHD." Or there's the people who actually say, "Hey, fuck it, I'm going to actually do something," and they maybe get a good job, or they maybe fucking work with it. Like I've like with sales, I've spoken to people who have ADHD, and they're fucking mega entrepreneurs because they just they said, "Hey, this is how my brain works." Like, the thing you have to understand as well is, like, we excel in areas where other people don't, like pattern recognition, working in fast-paced environment, working under pressure, working with deadlines, like these things that we excel in that people just don't. And you can use that to like really push yourself to the next level. You could be an extraordinary person. You could do things that the regular people can't because their brain is not built for it. You could be a mega athlete because, like, look at Michael Phelps, guy's ADHD. Look at these like business owners and CEOs with ADHD. They've used it to their advantage. They've used it to improve their life rather than just say, "Hey, fuck it, I can't do it." And that's what you have to do, man. If you go down that path of like just say, "I can't do it, man, I got ADHD," you're cooked, man. You're cooked. And that's the main thing. I'm probably just rambling now at this point, but like, it just really annoys me when people online just beat themselves up about it. You know. Um, so that's the ranting part over. Um, but these are some of the things that I do personally, or these are the ways that I've tried to, yeah, the ways that I've learned to live with it and use it. Um, yeah, so like number one is now especially is like use AI to your advantage. Is like I've integrated like the AIs into my computer to help me be productive, help me keep on track. Um, and I've made it look cool, so it feels cool doing it. So it's not like something mundane. It's actually something that I'm really interested in, and something that's like and something that I find fun to do during the day. Make it fun, make it easy to stay productive. So like in the morning, I'll say like start my day, and it'll give me all the stuff I need to do for the day, and to me that's cool. Like I like that. Um, Number two is doing things that I'm interested in. Like, yeah, doing things that I'm interested in. Like, not forcing myself to do things that I don't want to do. Now, I don't mean that for everything, like, as in, like, I don't know, like cleaning or something. But, like, yeah, like, obviously, there's, like, life admin that's essential, and there's ways that you can make that easier. But I think even just for a career, even just for your future, or even just for where you want to get to, do the things that you're actually interested in. Don't like listen to the people around you, like your parents, or your friends or your family who are telling you that you need to do this. Because for most of my life, my mom has wanted me to go to college, get a job, 9 to 5, do it that way. That's like secure, that's stable, and that sounds like living hell to me. Working a 9 to 5, getting paid weekly, living paycheck to paycheck, taking out a mortgage, meeting a person and just having a few kids and just, living the blueprint life. That's hell to me. That's like, no, I don't want to do that. I've done it and I don't want to do it. I would much rather be self employed or do something that I'm interested in that will maybe just get me by than spend 40 years of my life doing the same thing every single day. Maybe get a promotion, get a salary increase. That's no, that's not working for me. And over the years, as I've been doing these things, my mom just doesn't really get it, and for a lot of the time, she's tried to steer me down the path that I know I don't want to go down. And you just have to block that out or try to ignore that the best way you can and focus on the things that you're actually interested in. Because especially for me in Ireland, in Ireland, especially in the West, where it's a bit more like rural, um, if you're an outlier or if you're different, it's a lot more noticeable. Where like if you're not going down the usual path, it's a lot more noticeable, or it's a lot more, I don't know how to describe it to you. Like if you live in a small town, you probably get it. Like, but the idea of someone just like making money online remotely through like sales or starting a business, these are things that like, you know we don't do that here. Like in this town, we don't really do that here. We just get our job, we do these things. There's not a lot of room for that, I suppose. Maybe there's a lot of judgments. That might be the best way to describe it. But basically, it's not normal. And, I'm held to those normal standards by my family and by people around me. So that obviously adds friction to the things that I want to do. So the main thing is just blocking that out and just understanding that, hey, that's not for me, and just committing to what you want to do, whether that's starting a business, whether that's something, like whatever it is that you like, you have that thing in your mind, you have that thing that you're interested in, you have that thing that just kind of calls out to you, and that you're just maybe afraid to do it, or maybe you're afraid of like the judgments, or maybe you just haven't taken that step to do it, but you know what that thing is. You know what that thing is you're interested in. You have it in there. It's there already for you. You just need to do it. You know? And just commit to it. I understand that it's I don't mean it as like one thing either, because that's probably contradictory to what I've been saying this whole time. But like, even like for me, for example, one thing that I want is just to be self-employed, work my own hours, not have to answer to anybody, make my own money, be able to work from anywhere in the world. That's what I want. And that falls in that can be done in multiple ways, like especially now. You can do content creation, you can do making a business, you can do like AI consulting, you can do remote sales, you can do day trading, you can do anything. Like, there's such a big, such a large way to make money online. And that's been a problem for me as well. It's like I've been bouncing around between different ones, but like, commit to what you want to do. For me, it's making money online, it's making money like self-employed wise, and commit to that. Like, don't just you know don't just settle. Like, don't settle for something you don't want to do, because like, especially as someone with ADHD, you're gonna hate every single day. Like, I guarantee you, like, because I worked in hospitality as well in college. I worked as a bartender, and I hated every single day of that. I hated it. I hated the idea that I was making another guy a load of money. I hated the fact that I was working 10, 12 hours a day on my feet, just fucking pulling pints for people and just listening to shit. I hated every single second of it. And people hate every single second of their jobs, and they still do it anyways. And that is hell to me. No, absolutely not. So, like, figure out what it is, like, and you already know what it is that you want to do, and just go in that direction. Whatever it is, man, just go in the direction and figure out along the way. and use the tools at your disposal now, like Claude, like the AI, and use that to just make it easier. Do you know, like, because especially as someone with ADHD, you know, these mundane life or like admin tasks, like for me, for like, for example, you know, I take a sales, like doing confirmation messages, doing follow ups and stuff, like that stuff to me is just stuff that slips. I've automated it. I've made it an automation process with Claude so that I don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just done. Make it easier, make it efficient, understand how your brain works and work with it and go with it. And just don't fucking fall into that category of I've ADHD, woe is me, I feel sorry for myself. Don't do it, man. But that's 25 minutes of me rambling. Um, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Yeah, you might see a video up again at some point, but hopefully you enjoy the raw, unedited format. But yeah, thanks for watching.